I think it does say a lot about maybe perhaps Japanese culture versus American culture in terms of how we historicize things. With the leaving of the, like, it sounds like, I'm not familiar with a specific site, but it sounds like intentionally leaving a partially destroyed building, as right, that's accurate. It is actually partially destroyed. They didn't try to fix it up, right?
Nope. It's just there.
I'm trying to think of I'm hard pressed to think of an analogy in America, because in America we tend to try to bury our scars and pretend the scars don't exist.
What about the 9/11 memorials, like that? Like,
yeah,
they keep the footprint
that's
of the
exactly
buildings,
what I was
right?
thinking of. They kept the footprint. They made it into a fountain. But what I think of is Americans were like, we're gonna build a bigger building there, and that's what we did. We built like a bigger and brighter Freedom Tower. Like, we don't. It's kind of it definitely has that machismo attitude almost. Like, right. You're not gonna get it. It definitely is. I am told that the fountain is a very like somber place, which I definitely buy. But I also think of perhaps the Vietnam Memorial being the most controversial memorial to public sculpture, really, I think, in the United States, perhaps in United States history, because it was definitely leaned on the kind of pain and the death that occurred. It didn't take the war and turn it into some triumphant moment. It took the war for what it was, is, this thing that led to the deaths of thousands of people. And a lot of people, and it's actually kind of, the artist was Asian American. I don't quite know. Yeah, I don't quite remember if she was Chinese American or
I think she was
racist. She was, people like publicly were giving her a very hard time, and it definitely was part of it was racially charged. But definitely part of it was like, oh, it's not American too. You're like, I'm not going to see you as American, and it's not American because it doesn't take death and make it into something awesome. That's what America does.
Well, I think both are fine. I feel like America trying to rebuild it and make it into a kind of a grand memorial, I think that's cool. But also Japan trying to preserve it with the original form. That's also another way of preserving it. There's different ways.
They send very different messages. I mean, something that makes the war into something triumphant makes it into something heroic, which makes it something justified. The World War II memorial in the Washington D.C. doesn't have any nod toward the bombs or what happened to the people on the other side. Right. I would say that's not common of any memorial. Although I do know of one such in Concord, Massachusetts. There's a memorial to a British soldier. So I think memorials are very interesting things, and what a country leaves, how a country remembers things through material and public means.
For Confederate soldiers, right?
Right.
And they were the enemy. But
very obvious instance of how political these symbols can be is just how significant these statues have become in American discourse just over the past.
I mean, I think one thing to keep in mind is that in the case of like World Trade Center, like that was really the beginning of a war, whereas like Hiroshima was an end of a war. So there there's kind of there is a symbolic difference for each, right? The beginning of a war, it's almost, all about, hey, we're going to fight back, right? Which is what the symbolism of building a new, taller tower is, right? But the end of a war, especially a war that you lost, is not about, it's somber, right? It's about memorializing what happened.